Bitcoin zoomed in on the daily. We're going to talk about short-term price action in this video, but we're also going to, if we just scroll up, we're going to look at this, a macro parabolic move, targets in play for Bitcoin right now, all the way up to 140 to like 285. What is that range? What is that all about? That's what we're going to be discussing. And we're also going to talk about the most important bull indicator throughout Bitcoin history, through these cycles on the weekly chart. So hit the subscribe, hit the like, and let's just jump right into it. I don't want to waste time. Let's really talk about this indicator. I came across this article, most reliable Bitcoin signal flashing green, according to crypto analyst Kevin Svensson. Shout out to Kevin Svensson. Look him up on X, on YouTube. Follow him for good Bitcoin technical analysis. But check this out. He said, I guess in a recent video, now taking a look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, we can see that we are getting the most reliable signal throughout Bitcoin history. In my opinion, the weekly RSI breakout signal is the most reliable signal of all time. Whenever we clearly break the weekly RSI resistance, we go on major runs. So usually when we break this, it's at least 6 months to the upside. And guys, that's where we are. We're getting the signal right now. Here's his chart, and you can see the RSI. There it is. This break through that trend line. Those are lower highs on the RSI trend line on the weekly. This is macro zoomed out. So on this chart, you see cycles worth of data. And if we go to my Bitcoin chart, I tried to basically reflect what he has going on, but here's the move. If I zoom in on the weekly chart, there's the RSI move, basically, this breakout. He's saying, and it's not an opinion, this is data throughout the history of Bitcoin. When this happens, Bitcoin goes on a run for at least 6 months. And isn't it interesting, everybody, that if we look at the Bitcoin chart, it is happening right now at this moment. I'm talking about post Bitcoin halving and right before this purple line, that is to say altcoin season. So yes, Bitcoin could have a massive breakout, a massive parabolic bull run for its own season. And we're going to talk about the zoomed out targets of what we might see for the ultimate swing high of this bull cycle. But if this is the case, Bitcoin dominance could be getting primed to actually start falling as this purple line approaches altcoin season. So now we're at this point in the cycle where even when we get really bullish Bitcoin indicators like this one, according to Kevin, the most bullish throughout the cycles, these are massively bullish indicators for all of crypto. And just notice, this pairs up with what we've been talking about on this YouTube channel, the MACD getting ready to cross right here. And pretty much every time except for this time on this chart, you can see the MACD was actually making a similar move. So RSI breakout, MACD crossing the signal line. RSI breakout, MACD, I know I'm very zoomed out, but MACD crossing the signal line. RSI breakout, MACD crossing the signal line. So we are in a macro pivot into the next leg up, according to these indicators. Again, there's no guarantee that the history will repeat, but all the data is saying this is where we are. Get ready. So that's that massive indicator. What could this lead to? Well, if we go to the Bitcoin charts, I zoom out on the Bitcoin daily chart. I wanted to put it on the daily chart to really give us a good picture of how long we've actually been waiting for this. But we have these targets to the upside, and we have been waiting a very long time, everybody. I just posted this. I said, crypto is crazy. We wait through 3 long years. I really just think about this. We wait 3 long years just for 12 months of parabolic action. And by the time we get there, so many have already thrown in the towel right when it's the worst possible time to quit. And if we look at the zoomed out daily, it really gives a good picture of, think about this. All of these candles that we can't even see, right? All of these candles we can't even see that are in there, those are days. We wait all of these days for this moment. And right now, people are just like, man, recession, it's game over. It's done. Crypto's done. People are actually giving up and throwing in the towel at what I think is the worst possible time. You go to the Bitcoin, and then we're going to look at the targets. We're going to look at these targets. But you go to Bitcoin zoomed out on the weekly, just to give you an idea, this is real. From all-time high to this purple line, just over 1,000 days. And then you look at from this all-time high to last cycle's purple line, that's Bitcoin dominance falling, altcoin season beginning, over 1,000 days, right? So around a year. And then you go to the cycle before that, all-time high to that purple line, altcoin season, over 1,100 days. This is every cycle. And we are where we are right now. And these indicators are going off on the weekly chart that we just looked at. And then the Bitcoin daily chart. So here's a target to the upside that I just wanted to mention kind of as a range that I'm looking forward to or anticipating. And then we'll zoom in on the short-term price action. But on the daily chart, this is what it looks like. It's this inverse head and shoulders. And and this is me over the years in terms of doing analysis. There's no exact way for anybody to do analysis. Everybody has their own way of doing things. And oftentimes I run into different variations of targets or even like certain indicators lining up and bullish confirmation or not. And I kind of create my own way, right? And so what I mean by that is this. The target to the upside out of this inverse head and shoulders, you can do like a measured move from the swing low to this area, the neckline, and you can just use a measured move and it's just a ridiculous target, like almost $300,000 target. For me, it just doesn't sit right in terms of what I think will happen this cycle. I don't really think Bitcoin's going to $300,000 this cycle. So I use that as a starting point though, because it is a way to measure the target and it could happen. But the other way to measure the target is just you measure the move via price. So like the swing low in price to the swing high, right? Or the neckline, I should say, the neckline breakout. And then we have a different story, right? And when we really measure the neckline to the swing low, then we have a different story where we have a lower range of like $130,000 to $140,000. And for me, that's just a nice range. It doesn't have to be exact. I don't have to, and nobody does have to sit here because nobody knows. Nobody knows if we even break all-time highs again. But if we do, if we see a parabolic bull run, if I'm going to have a target, I'd rather have a range to really start looking for. And this range could also act as maybe a profit-taking, scaling out type of range. If Bitcoin actually starts approaching this range, it might be a good idea in terms of my view, in terms of my approach to these crypto markets, maybe start taking some profit, if not before then, right? So as it's approaching that area, it's time to start considering, okay, we're really getting to these targets now. But that's a range. It doesn't have to be an exact target. So that, and it's also just visualization aid, right? There's no guarantee that will play out, but it's a visualization aid for a parabolic bull run. And I think it offers a really nice macro roadmap for all of crypto if you hold cryptos. So here we are on the daily chart. What I noticed, I don't think I talked about it. The first thing I want to discuss, and we can talk about the resistance. We've been discussing this upper trend line on the shorter term. It's a triangle, like kind of like a descending triangle. Bitcoin broke out of that descending triangle. I don't think I actually mentioned, though, the target of that breakout is around $77,000. And that's a very notable area because if we zoom out, that is the neckline of this massive inverse head and shoulders that we were just talking about with those massive targets. So it's definitely helpful to kind of do all this macro and more zoomed in charting on the same daily chart because you start getting some really important context. Not only is Bitcoin breaking, this half a year upper trend line, but it's actually, if it hits the target, approaching the neckline area for the parabolic bull run. If it played out this way, I mean, that is just too good. I highly doubt it will. Meaning I highly doubt we're at $77,000 October 13th. These things, and this is just me doing these videos for almost 7 years now, these things take a little bit of time with fake outs along the way. So where we are in this point of the entire half-year consolidation, we're just escaping the middle of it. We have this 20-day finally making a move to the upside. I actually left. I've been updating every time I do a video. I've been updating these lines that I have here. Here's a 20-day moving average. I like when I have to update it, meaning look at the 20-day moving average has pivoted from like yesterday's video to the upside, right? We're getting that momentum. And every time I refresh, if we're in this continued uptrend, I have to keep refreshing until guess what happens? The 20 days above the 50. That's the move we're waiting for on the really short-term price action chart. But again, there can be volatility in this story. Bitcoin has seen resistance at the 200-day. We might get this throwback to this upper trend line. We might get the throwback to the 20-day moving average crossing above the 50. And all of that is like in that $59,000 to $60,000 region. I know I've talked about it before. I just want to be very aware of it because the move might happen and it might seem very bearish, but it could be the most bullish thing. With that being said, we have upward momentum for Bitcoin. You go to an oscillator. If you look at this RSI, I just always want to make a note of there is a ton of room for upside for Bitcoin. And just if you want to get some context into that, go to a last time when Bitcoin was seeing upward momentum. And let me actually go. We've done a lot of comparison to October, all the way back here on the weekly. A lot of comparison to the move that's happening right now. Look where Bitcoin is. It's around 61, 62 on the RSI. Look where Bitcoin was right before this massive, I think it's 170% gains to the upside, two all-time highs. Look where Bitcoin was right before the move. Yeah, it's towards overbought, but that's exactly what we want to see, that momentum shifting to the upside, and then it starts just going crazy, right? And that's what it looks like. Look at all that upside. All that upside, if we really look at the daily chart, is in play. I just want to make a note of that because sometimes you can look at an RSI and be like, oh man, we're towards the overbought. It's time to come back down. And that's not always how this works on a daily chart. Something like that can start working a little bit better on something like a weekly. But on this daily chart, this might be the very beginning of the next parabolic move for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right now, you can just see the barrier still remains, and it has now for 2 to 3 days. That 200-day moving average is around 60. It's just around $64,000. We want to see Bitcoin rally $800 and beyond that to really start escaping this 200-day, and we might start seeing an absolute explosion on the Bitcoin price charts because this upper trend line of this half a year consolidation sitting at around 68 is not very far away. Look at this. From where Bitcoin is right now, that move is not even 10%. It's a 7 to 8% move. That's a move that could happen very fast. And if we get this breakout, all of a sudden, if we get a breakout of this upper trend line, we have this next upper trend line in play, and that is the inverse head and shoulders breakout area. So we are right on the edge of like this parabolic bull run on this daily chart, and all the charts are really coming together. Even this indicator that Kevin pointed out, the RSI breaking out right now of this trend line. So really big stuff happening on the crypto charts in general. So these are my thoughts today. Hope you're having a good Saturday. I really do appreciate all of you guys out there. I just want to say that. I was thinking about that earlier. Just having you all here on the crypto journey, supporting my channel as I do content and stuff, it does mean a lot to me, and just want to say thank you. So if you're out there not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe, hit the like if you enjoyed the video, turn notifications on, and have a good weekend. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.